Good day, everyone. Today, we will discuss how goods and services are produced, how prices are determined, how consumers make choices, and how markets are structured. So, these concepts explains why prices change and why people buy certain products and how businesses operates in the real world. So, everyone, we will discuss about the production process and the price system. So, just a few example before we proceed, no? Like when you buy a cup of coffee, many economic processes happen before it reaches you, from farming the coffee beans to the pricing it on the menu. So that's why it's very vital that we have to discuss about the production process and the price system. Okay, so let's proceed to the next. So let's tackle now about the production process. So the production refers to the processes and methods used to transform inputs to like raw materials, labors, and ideas into goods or services that satisfies human needs. But in economics, production does not only mean creating something new, no? It also means adding value or usefulness. So it must be important that our consumer can really benefit of the production that we have, or the product that we produce. I mean, like for example, the rice sold in the palenque has more value than harvested palay because it has already been processed and is ready to cook. Okay, so that's how it goes for the production process. Okay, let's proceed to the third slide. Okay, now let us tackle about this what we call the four factors of production. So in economics, we have four factors of production that we considered. First is yung labor, second is yung land, third is capital, and fourth is entrepreneurship. So to produce goods and services, we need these four main factors, no? Without this, production cannot happen. Yes, of course. No, like for example, when you have a small bakery, it actually needs land. No, kailangan natin ng shop, kailangan natin ng space, kailangan din natin ng baker, which considered to be as a labor, and of course, we have to have a capital, no, because we have to buy ingredients and equipments like the oven, and an entrepreneur, so the owner itself, someone who actually manages the other three factors of production. So, in order for you to produce a certain product, kailangan natin itong apat na factors of production. Okay, now let's tackle about this one by one. So, number first is yung land. Land includes all natural resources used in production, like example, yung land, water, forest, and minerals. It is often considered fixed because we cannot easily increase it. So, kumbaga, the nature itself can actually be utilized, or the resources that you got can actually be utilized, no, for your production purposes. So, a coconut farm uses land and trees as natural resources to produce copra and coconut oil. So, that's an example for that one. Okay, another one is this what we call labor. So labor refers to human effort, no? It can be both physical and mental. It is used in production, and labor is active because workers can move and adjust to different jobs. So if you've got the land but you don't have the labor, so how can that land be utilized into something useful? So labor is very important because that actually is the one who transform a certain raw materials into a finished output. Okay, so like a factory workers assembling products and teachers conducting online classes are both example of labor, or a certain lawyer who actually give its legal consultation to its client. So that's an example of our labor. Okay, then we also got number three, the capital, one of the most important. Capital includes tools, machines, buildings, and technology used to produce goods and services. Money is also considered capital when used for business operation. So like for example, a computer used in a BPO office is capital because it helps employees deliver services. So mostly capital is actually a kanang an investment that you have to put in order for the people to be productive in transforming the inputs to the outputs. So, yung mga owner natin, they have to invest on it kasi if they will not invest on it, it could become a barrier on how it will be on how we can produce a certain product at a certain moment or at a certain time. So we also got this um, entrepreneur, no, as one of the factors of production. So entrepreneur organizes the other factors of production. So it does not an entrepreneur does not need to have a high degree for you to be able to become an entrepreneur. There are a lots of kanang successful entrepreneurs who are just an elementary graduate or even did not graduated in elementary, but they are very successful because of the wise experiences that they got, in which they are very effective when it comes to using the other factors of production. Entrepreneurs organize the other factors of production. They take risk, introduce ideas, and aim to earn profit. So, like for example, a student who starts an online clothing shop and manages suppliers, marketing, and delivery is an entrepreneur. So, here in UM, actually, we've got a lot of students who are entrepreneur itself, no? I have known somebody who are actually engaged na into selling coffees or young iced coffee that are very known, and some of them are actually selling things or resources online, no, most especially yung katong pandemic nga time. Okay, so there are a lot of mga success stories from our students that actually help them, no, in their studies and also in their idle time to make it more productive. So being an entrepreneur does not have to be kanang does not have to contain high degree for you to become an entrepreneur, no, but sometimes common sense works, and of course the wise experiences that you've got, and a certain entrepreneur must also be a risk taker. Okay, now let's talk about the price system. So, a price system determines how much goods and services are sold. Prices guide producers on what to produce and consumers on what to buy. So, without direct communication. So, for example, when the price of onions increases, consumer buy less and farmers are encouraged to plant more. So, all modern societies use price system, in short. Consumers and producers to make decisions, and price systems motivate both consumers and producers to make decisions. So a price system informs both of these decisions without the producer and the consumer having to communicate directly. Again, so now in economics, the price system could considered to be as an indicator, no, an indicator of a certain shortage or at certain surpluses. Most of the time, we always say ceteris paribus, no? It means that all things are held equal. Like there are, what if stable yung economy? So the common reaction is that when there is a shortage of kanang a certain goods, so since kulang man siya, usually the reaction for the prices for that one is magtaas yung prices niya. Pero pag marami tayong mga resources, like there is a surplus of resources, usually the price of that one is naga-increase siya. So it can usually become an indicator, no. That's why the role of the government is very important when it comes to the monitoring of the prices, most especially if we experience like calamities or mga um, yun, example yung pandemic or kanang mga event gani, catastrophic event for example, kasi that would be the time that the movement of the prices is kanang mag-inflate. So there will be inflation that will happen. So the role of the government is very important to regulate the prices of a certain economy. Kay luoy ang ato ang mga consumer. Okay? So, we have this what we call the free price system. In a free price system, prices are determined by supply and demand with minimal government intervention. It's because the competition is strong, no? So, prices of clothes in online shops change depending on trends and customer demand. So, meaning, governmental intervention in terms of imposing standards and trade regulation is either non-existent or kept to an extreme minimum. Kasi the type of goods that they are actually selling is not staple. So, like, dili siya ka ng, unsa ba, needs jud sa isa ka tao, no? Like, the food, like, the rice, like, the ana. So, that is why they have the the ability to kanang ano price their own prices for their certain product nga ginasell nila. So with this approach, the opportunities for companies to create and market goods and services are limited only by the interest level of consumers and their willingness to buy those products. So meaning they have created this product because this is a want itself, no, and not really a need. So yung interaction ng government for this one is kana dili siya ingon nga mangialam sila kay, like for example, like clothing, kana ganing mga fashion designs or kanang mga gowns nga ginabaligyaan na. So we cannot really, the government cannot really regulate that one because who actually buys a gown? So there's specific target customers or target market for that one. So dili jud siya ingon ba nga ay everyone is actually buying this, so that's why we have to regulate the prices. So since just a few of them are kanang buying that one, so they have the freedom to actually put the prices into at their own hands. Okay, considering the costs that they incur on that one. Okay, so we also have the fixed price system. Okay, so in a fixed price system, the government sets price to control inflation or protect consumers. This is common during emergency. So yun na nga yung sabi ko kanina, no. Like for example, during calamities, the government may impose price ceilings on rice, water, and fuel because these are the usual na goods or staple na mga needs nato, no, nga kailangan jud kaayo nato during each calamities or catastrophes. So if you say price ceiling, so of course you cannot go above the price on that one. No, so the government will issue a memo circular or something about kanang um yun, memorandum ka. So para ma-inform yung mga businessmen natin about the price ceiling, no, most especially like yung magkano ang kilo ng mga meat natin, fish natin, yung mga foods natin yan. So mostly yung mga prices natin at the public market, those are the things that the government intervene para ma-fix yung prices. Yan, or they can put a ceiling onto that. Okay, then we also have a mixed price system. So what is this mixed price system? A mixed price system combines free market forces and government regulation. Most countries use this system. So it's a combination about they have the freedom to price its own goods, and but then the government can also intervene with that one. No, so like for example, no, in public transportation, fares are regulated while food prices in malls are market driven. So even if food is actually um ano um okay, let's go back, no, as what I told you in the um transportation fares, for example, even if it's regulated, but on that certain area when you go to malls, bakit naman yung mga prices ng mga pagkain nila doon is mahal, no? So it could be it's because the food that we are talking here is not the basic food that we are taking, no, like the usual rice, the usual fish or kanang meat, but it is actually kanang cooked in a special way. So that's how the mixed price system work. No, even if it is in need, no, like we say food, but the only areas that the government regulates it is yung mga bilihin natin sa public market. Okay? So we also have a consumer behavior and choice na topic, no? Consumer behavior actually studies how individuals decide what to buy based on preference, income, and prices. Consumers aim to maximize satisfaction within their budget. So like for example, no, when you chooses a cheaper meal to save money for school supplies, so those are considered to me as consumer behavior. So in marketing aspect, it's very important to identify the pattern, no, about this what we call consumer behavior and choice, because that would also determine how you will conduct your business outside. Like for example, there are a lot of iced coffee na ginabaligya outside, no, but then just by determining um when yung peak hours niya, like for example, so you can adjust your number of labors, no, just to cater the number of kanang customers that are buying your certain coffee. So consumer behavior can also indicate something that is seasonal, no, like for example, why is it that in every Valentine's Day there are lots of kanang flowers and chocolates buying um, for that certain period. So meaning in advance, you can actually prepare for that one so that you can actually buy the raw materials in a cheaper way, no? Para yung cost natin when it comes to selling the certain goods is um, ano siya, tama lang siya, tapos mas malaki yung profit na mai-earn mo kasi mas lesser lang man yung cost of production mo. So that's why you have to be very particular with the consumer behavior and choices, because it indicates when will be the um when will be the peak ng koan season or hours or times that they will buy a certain product. Okay, so there are lots of models that we will discuss also later on. But then, let's have this consumer behavior and choice na topic. Consumer behavior studies how individuals decide what to buy based on preferences, income, and prices. So, consumers aim to maximize satisfaction within their budget. So, yun na nga. And then, let's tackle about this different model that I told you about. So first is this what we call the black box model. This model focuses on external stimuli like price, promotion, and environment. So it does not analyze what happens inside the consumer's mind. So fast food promos like buy one take one influence consumers to buy immediately. So like for example, when you enter a certain kanang store, no, there are lots of mga posters in red actually that was hung in the store. So it actually creates an idea that this certain store is actually offering products that are on sale. So it actually gives an impact, no, to the stimulus response of a certain person. Kasi most especially here in the Southeast Asian country, no, we are very particular with the prices of a certain good. So, whenever, even if we have money, guys, 'di ba? So, for example, if we have money, so we are still kanang enticed, no, to buy discounted products, no? And we are also enticed to buy certain products in the budget section. Yan. So, in marketing, this is actually called a suggestive marketing. So, promotion promotions, discounts, and other na mga kanang unsa pa dira, other nga mga um, pricing strategies pa nato dira, or promotional strategies really work out most especially here in the Philippines, because that's actually culture by culture na, it's part of our culture. But if you go to other country, like yung mga established country in Europe, in US, when they saw something that is on sale, yung perceive nila niyan is near to expiration na siya, or kanang meron siyang problem when it comes to quality assurance. So that is why they tend to buy the regular price, no? So it's not an issue for them, it's really not an issue for them to buy it in a regular price, kasi for them, buying it in a regular price, it means a high quality product. So pero dito sa ato there is ato we can actually settle for that, no? It's because we are particular with the prices itself. So that is what we call the black box model. Like mura ka ginakahon ba sa isa ka kanang idea that you have to buy this one because this is a discounted or promo na product. Okay, then we also have the personal variable model, no? Studies what internal factors affect consumer behavior and purchasing decision. This model specifically ignores external stimuli such as marketing techniques and concentrates on internal psychological variables. These variables include lifestyle, motivations, and personality. It also looks at individual decision-making process such as problem recognition, alternative evaluation, as well as post-purchase behavior. So this model focuses on internal factors, guys. So meaning it does not affect whatever promotion or discounts that you can get, no, with that specific nga product. So like for example, there are two people that see a gym discount, one signs up because of fitness goals, pero yung other gi-ignore it due to the lack of interest. So like for example, ako, I'm not really kanang fun of doing exercises at the gym, no, because I have a different na interest. I do badminton, for example. So for me, that would be enough, no, for my exercise regimen. So there would be also some who are not interested in that playing sport, but then they are interested to go to the gym, no. So for them, if there are discounts in the gym, so they would be very eager to avail of that. But for me, even if the discount is too low, so I am not that eager to avail of it because it is not my interest. So actually it is personal. From the word, it's a personal variable model. It is actually based on the lifestyle or the personal preference that you got. So, meron din tayong tinatawag na comprehensive model, no? This model considers both internal and external factors, no? Like, you really like it and you like it more, it's because it comes in a discounted prices, no? It gives a more complete explanation of consumers' behavior, but it is actually more complex. So, like, a health-conscious consumers reacts positively to organic food ads, while others do not. Okay, so it is, however, difficult to determine the accuracy of the conclusion drawn from these studies because of the number of variables. So if it's a comprehensive model, so it is not just you are relying to one factors for you to decide on how to buy that one, but then you have to consider a lot of things. So there are really people who are actually very comprehensive, no, when it comes to kanang buying a certain product. So yan. Then we also have the ayan. So those are the models that we actually have to know, no, for this specific nga component. So now let us discuss about the causes that change the consumer behavior. So sometimes a certain pattern is actually kanang stop, no. It's because there are kanang certain behavior that we have, consumer behavior that we have to consider, no, and we have to identify what causes nga ngano na usab siya. So consumer behavior can change due to household structure, impulse buying, financial crisis, and education. Like for example, during inflation, kanang there are sudden increase, no, of the prices, families shift from branded products to the generic alternatives. Like what happened in the pandemic, no? Yun. So, since there are a lot of kanang people who are actually who actually did not work on that period, it's because there are a lot of establishments also that stop. So bumalik yung mga tao into simple way of living. So before we can actually buy a lot of kanang branded clothes, for example, but then during that time yung mga tao, they become frugal and thrift, no, so that yung mga budget nila is makaabot pa until na magbalik na sa normal yung operation. So yun, that's an example for that one. Okay, so um, impulses can also cause changes in consumer behavior. For instance, an individual may have well-defined standard and habits when it comes to making purchases. If he enters a store on a given day, he could dramatically change his normal consumer behavior on his trip. Now, like for example, a certain person really does not have a plan to buy a certain product, no? So I have a colleague that has actually this impulse buying na tendency. So, just a quick or few ka ng, lang no, few nga istorya lang sa kauban po na mga colleague. So, they actually tend to buy the gadget right away at a cost of, big cost na, like for example, 10,000 and above. It's because kanang lagi nadani sa storya. So there are a lot of kanang people who go into impulse buying, no? So in which it does not have a pattern. It's because kanang usually kung makasulod kag isa ka store ganahan ka ani, then I will really buy it. So that's why there's a solution for impulse buying. Ang uban wala jud sila nagadala og big cash, big amount of cash, or ginabilin jud po nila ilang credit card para wala jud lain nga rason para makapalit sila. Okay, so another yung financial crisis, na as what I told you, yung pandemic that we have encountered could be that one. Okay, also education can also have an effect on consumer behavior. When people become aware of issues that can threaten their health or longevity, like for example, a certain supplement product or kanang shake protein, for example, but then it actually involves some scandal, no, that the content of that specific na shake is kanang not really good, it's very harmful. So pwede pud siya nga mahimong cause nga nganong dili na noon sila mamalit ana nga ano. So when people are educated about a certain issue, most of the time they will tend to avoid na to buy that certain na product. So they often decide to make changes in what and how they buy because of education. Kasi the more we know, the more we kanang the more we believe it and we stick to it by actually supporting, no, that belief. So that is why education is really kanang powerful. Education is really powerful kay the more you na nga, the more you know, the more you decide things based on what you believe, no. So next is yung about sa cultural factors, no, natin ginatawag nga culture, subculture, and social class. So culture is the influence of uh, on buying behavior on buying behavior. It varies from one country to country. Therefore, producers have to be very careful in analyzing the culture of different groups, region, or even countries. So one good example for this, I think I already told you about this, is yung McDonald's, no? When they actually create a menu, it is actually based on the local preferences on that specific na country. So there is no fixed na menu for their entire nga kanang unsa, for their entire operations. So lahi-lahi jud siya og menu per country. So that is why McDonald's is number one in the another country. So yan. Like for example, again, food businesses, yun na nga, adjust menus depending on regional taste preferences. So subculture, each culture contains different subcultures such as religions, nationalities, geographic regions, racial groups, etc. Yan. No, yung remember katong gi-example nako sa inyo ha about sa whirlpool, in which nga ang mga washing machine and refrigerator sold in Whirlpool, India is actually has bright colors, no, compared here in the Philippines, which is usually in color gray, black, or white. Kasi in India, ano sa ilaha kanang that's actually part of their kanang furniture, no, or kanang decoration in the living area. Dira man na nila gina-display good sa living area nila. So that's why it must appear colorful. You know, as we all know, India, they love colors. They love lovely kanang festive gani kaayo nga dating. So social class, every society possesses some form of social class which is important to the producers because the buying behavior of people in a given social class is similar. So, yung ano kasi, yung product mo, it could somehow become a symbol, no, of a social class. So, the more that you put a branding onto that, the more din na magbuy sila. It's because they would perceive that if they buy this one, they have a high level of social class in the society. Now, like for example, why is it that buying Apple products or may tag sa phone, iPhone, is kanang daghan, mas daghan siya even if yung price niya is almost 100,000 or mahal siya. Pero bakit maraming bumibili? So aside sa iyang usability, it actually also um, about the social class um, of a certain person. Why is it nga nagbuy siya ana? Okay, then we also have this ginatawag nato nga social factor, no? So it's about the family, reference groups, and social status that influence what people buy. Okay, so like for example, a student buys a phone brand because their friends are using it. So yun na nga. Okay, so it's more on the influence of other people on your buying behavior. So, 'di ba? Influential kaayo, no? Like for example, you are in a circle in which nga social kayo yung circle ana. But if you are in a circle of friends who are vegetarian, so your ang imuha pong kanang buying behavior also changes, no? Like for example, simply by eating in a karinderya instead of eating in a fast food chain. Yan. So that's social factor. Then we also got this what we call personal factor. So yung personal factor naman, it is about your age, occupation, income, lifestyle, and personality that affects consumer choices, no? Like a working professional buys office attires while a student buys casual clothes. So that's an example for that. So the more um kana like for example, let's take this occupation. So since in the occupation you are already earning something. So of course, yung buying behavior nimo actually differs before na student ka pa. No, nung student ka pa, you have a very tight na budget when it comes to how you can fit, no, your weekly allowance jud for your food and other na mga necessities. So that's why controlled talaga yung pag-purchase mo ng certain na mga goods. But then when you became professional, those actually changes. It's because you already earn something. And of course, yun na nga, um, lifestyle refers to the way a person lives in a society and is expressed by the things in his surroundings. So if you are something who is very easygoing or kanang hilig og nightlife for example, so yung lifestyle mo is very different for somebody who really is focusing on his or her studies, no? So yung preferences mo on some things is very opposite or very kanang dili pareha jud sa katong mga focus ra kay sa study. So yan. Now we also have this what we call psychological factor. No, motivation, perception, beliefs, and attitudes influence the purchasing decision. So like for example, a consumer buys a brand that they trust even if it is more expensive. No, like for example, when I go to a certain restaurant, guys, that restaurant is very kanang mahal, no? But then ano mo balik paghihapon ko ato, it's because it's because of the quality of the food, the ambience, for example, and then the services, the customer services that they give. So lahi-lahi tao ka ng preferences, no, lahi-lahi po tang mga perception, lahi-lahi po tang mga beliefs and kanang makeup, no. So that's why it's very important na kanang sometimes we have to trust our instincts, or we have to trust what's on our mind, because kinsa man day mo satisfy all of those. So kita mismo personally, so psychological factor is something about personal, something about what you think. So usually this actually tackles about the value for money, no, if worthwhile ba ang ato ang paggasto for this certain product, no. Okay, so now let's have this market structure, income distribution, and poverty na topic. So market structure describes how firms compete in the market and how much power they have over prices. There are different types of market structure. So all of these will be discussed further, no, in your economics na subject in your higher years, no. So let us start with this monopoly. What's a monopoly? In short, one seller dominates. Isa lang ka ang seller, ana. Example, kaning electric distribution company. So, example, here in Davao del Norte, we only have one electric company that is running all of our kanang electricity nga unsa concerns. So, the Nordeco. So, that's an example of monopoly. Yun, no? The Meralco for some other places. Tapos, dito sa atin is Nordeco. So, isa lang yung seller nga nag-dominate niyan. That's monopoly. No? Meron din tayong ginatawag na perfect competition, no? Like, there are many sellers nga involved. So, the usual for this one is yung mga fish vendors in the public market. So, usually, if there's a perfect competition, ano siya, yung prices niya is kanang controlled, no? Or usually pantay-pantay kasi halos pare-pareho naman yung mga binebenta, no? Like for example, when you go to public market, like mayroong tag fish. So if it is really raw, no? Nga wala pa jud siya na luto. So of course pare-pareho ra man na siya. No, so that's why you cannot really control the prices on how it will be sold, kasi there are kana tapad-tapad manggud mo ana, no, and if you will actually sell it at a higher cost tapos parehara jud ay ang product, so it will not be very strategic if buhaton na nimo siya. So naputi yung natawag nga monopolistic competition, like there are many seller pero there are kanang ano product na yung mga product differences, although somewhat more siya ganang ano gihapon, similar ang ilahang nature sa industry ba, pero ang ilahang kuan, ang ilahang mga product is lahi-lahi pod. Like for example, yung mga fast food chain, no, like mentang McDonald's and Jollibee, almost similar sila, including the Chowking or the Mang Inasal, but still naadjud sila distinct pod jud nga ginabaligya, which is actually present lang pod sa ilaha nga fast food chain. Another is yung mga restaurant ana. So ano sila, dili pud ta kaingon nga pareha sa perfect competition ang kadaghan nila. Daghan sila seller, pero they have an independent stores, no, para isell na nila ang ilahang product. So yan. Then we also have this what we call oligopoly. Few sila pero large firms sila nga naga-dominate. No, example ani is yung mga telecommunication, maihap ra man nato sa kamot. Pila ka buok telecommunications nato diri No, we have yung Globe, Smart, dito. Yan. Another is yung mga gasoline station. Okay, so that's an example of oligopoly. Few large companies pero nag-dominate sila. Okay, so think I think that's it, no, for the discussion of this topic. So I hope that you learn for this one and have a nice day.